Locked disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction created for emotional and entertainment purposes. Any resemblance to real people, names, or events is purely coincidental. It explores themes of trust, relationships, and self-discovery. Reader discretion is advised for sensitive topics such as breakups and emotional conflict. It started like any ordinary Tuesday, emails, coffee, and group chats filled with memes and catch-ups. That's when the message popped up in the college friend group chat, annual summer trip, Mexico again. Emily stared at her screen, half excited, half hesitant. She hadn't seen most of these people in a year, but they were once her core, her emotional home during college. The trips had been a tradition, 1 week every summer, somewhere warm, nostalgic, and wild. But this year, things were different. Emily wasn't the same carefree college girl anymore. She had a stable job, responsibilities, and Ryan. Ryan was everything she thought she wanted, emotionally mature, secure, patient, and deeply in love with her. They had been together for 8 months now. But he wasn't from her past life. He didn't know the messy, chaotic Emily who used to drink tequila on rooftops or kiss someone without thinking about consequences. She hesitated before typing, "I might be in, let me check dates." Later that night, she brought it up casually while cuddling on the couch. "Hey, the old gang is planning a trip. Thinking about joining." Ryan nodded. "Sounds fun." "When?" "Next month. Mexico again." "Nice," he smiled. "Everyone going?" That question made her heart skip. She knew who he was really asking about, Jake. Her ex-boyfriend. The one who broke her heart during junior year, but whom she eventually forgave. Now they were just friends. Kind of. Sort of. Maybe. She cleared her throat. "I think most of the usuals." "I'll check the list." Ryan didn't ask again, and she didn't offer anything more. It felt easier that way. Over the next week, she booked the flight, packed her bags, and gave herself every logical reason to believe this was just a harmless vacation. She had moved on. Jake was ancient history. They were adults now. It wasn't a big deal. But deep down, she knew this trip wasn't just about sand and sunsets. It was about testing boundaries, hers and Ryan's. She told herself she'd be smart, respectful, careful. After all, she wasn't doing anything wrong, right? The night before she left, Ryan kissed her forehead and said, "Have fun, babe. Text me when you land." Her chest tightened with guilt. "I will," she whispered, knowing that some part of the truth had already been left behind. The moment Emily stepped off the plane, the warm sea breeze of Mexico hit her like a memory. Laughter, beach waves, and the scent of saltwater brought back snapshots of a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. Her friends were already waiting at the airport exit: Lisa, Marcus, Jay, Tessa, and Jake. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw him. He looked the same but older, more grounded. He gave her a friendly nod and a half-smile. "Hey, Hey," she replied, trying to keep her tone neutral. Her pulse disagreed. They all piled into a van and headed to the resort. The ride was filled with jokes, music, and stories from everyone's new lives. Emily laughed more in that 1 hour than she had in weeks. But a small, guilty voice inside reminded her Ryan wouldn't like this part. That night, the group checked into a massive beachside villa, 4 bedrooms, shared kitchen, open-air balcony. Emily and Lisa shared one room. Jake bunked with Marcus. Everyone else split up comfortably. There was no drama, no tension. Everything felt normal. During dinner, someone snapped a group photo. Everyone had their arms around each other, smiles wide. Emily thought nothing of it as it was posted on Instagram. Later that night, lying in bed, she video called Ryan. "Hey, babe," she smiled. "Just got settled in." "Hey," he said, sounding distracted. "How was the flight?" "Smooth. The villa's beautiful. You'd love it here." "That's good," he said, pausing. "Saw a photo online. Looks like a fun crowd." Her stomach tightened. She had hoped he wouldn't see it, or at least wouldn't notice Jake. But of course he did. "Yeah, everyone's here," she said casually, avoiding names. A beat of silence. "You mean Jake too?" he asked. She froze. This was the moment. The one she had been avoiding. "Yeah," she said softly. "But it's not weird. We're just friends now. It's all chill, I swear." He exhaled, a mixture of disbelief and frustration behind it. "You could have told me, I didn't think it was a big deal," she lied. "I didn't want you to overthink." "Well, now I'm overthinking a lot," he said. The call ended with an uncomfortable silence. Emily stared at her phone, feeling a pit open in her chest. The next few days were fun on the surface. The group visited cenotes, danced at beach bars, and lounged under the sun. But inside, Emily felt distracted. Ryan hadn't called again. Just a couple of dry, "hope you're having fun" texts. His tone felt colder, distant. Still, she kept pretending everything was fine. Until one night, something happened that would change everything. It was the 5th night of the trip, and by then, the group had fallen into a rhythm: late brunches, lazy afternoons by the pool, and wild nights by the fire pit near the beach. That night felt especially nostalgic. The sky was clear, stars scattered like glitter above them, and the ocean whispered in the background. The group passed around bottles of cheap tequila, and with every shot, the laughter got louder, the jokes riskier, and the memories deeper. At some point, Marcus suggested a classic college throwback, truth or dare, like old times. Everyone groaned and laughed, but no one said no. The circle formed quickly. Emily sat between Lisa and Jay, with Jake directly across from her. She already felt the buzz kick in her headlight, her thoughts slower. The game started harmless, dares to sing old songs, truth questions about secret crushes. Then Jake's turn came. He locked eyes with Emily and smirked. "I dare Emily to go for a swim with me. Just us. Like we used to." The group whistled and teased, but Emily forced a laugh. She hesitated. "You're not backing out, are you?" Jake joked, standing up and offering his hand. Lisa gave her a look, part warning, part curiosity. Emily took Jake's hand, brushing the doubt off. They walked down the sandy path to the shoreline. The water was cold, but refreshing. They waded in up to their waists, laughing and splashing like they were 19 again. At one point, Jake just stood still, staring at the moon's reflection. "Remember that summer after sophomore year?" he asked. Emily swallowed hard. "Yeah, we were so stupid back then." "I wasn't," he said quietly. "I was just in love." Silence. "Jake," she started, but her words felt tangled. He didn't move closer. He didn't try anything. But the emotional weight of that moment hit her harder than any wave. She realized then Jake hadn't truly moved on. And maybe neither had a small, buried part of her. Before things got heavier, she turned and headed back to the shore. Jake followed, thankfully not pushing further. As they returned to the group, someone snapped a photo of them, wet hair, wide smiles, walking side by side from the beach, silhouetted by moonlight. Just a fun moment to everyone else. But that photo, posted on Instagram with the caption, "Just like old times beach with umbrella," reached someone it shouldn't have. The next morning, Emily woke up with a mild hangover and a sinking feeling. Her phone buzzed. One message from Ryan: "Can we talk when you're back?" Short, cold, final. She knew then something had changed. Something she might not be able to fix. Emily stepped off the plane with tired eyes and a heavy heart. The vacation had ended, but the weight she carried felt heavier than her luggage. Her friends had hugged goodbye at the airport, promising to meet up again soon, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. Ryan hadn't texted again since that morning message, "Can we talk when you're back?" That single sentence had echoed in her thoughts every day since. When she got home, her apartment felt cold and unfamiliar. She dropped her bags, showered, and stood in front of the mirror, wondering what version of herself Ryan would see now. Guilty? Defensive? Heartbroken? That evening, Ryan came over. He didn't hug her, didn't smile. He stood in the doorway for a few seconds, just looking at her. "Hey," she whispered. "Hey," he replied. "Can we sit?" They sat on opposite sides of the couch. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. "I saw the photo," he said flatly. "You and Jake." Emily closed her eyes. "It's not what it looked like, then why didn't you tell me he was going in the first place?" That question hit like a slap. Her excuses lined up in her mind, but they all felt weak now. She tried to explain. I didn't want to cause problems. I didn't think it would be a big deal." Ryan scoffed. "Emily, the lie isn't the photo. The lie is that you kept him a secret. That tells me you knew it would be a big deal." Emily's voice cracked. "Nothing happened. I swear. I didn't cheat. I didn't. You emotionally cheated the moment you chose to protect him instead of being honest with me." Tears stung her eyes. "It wasn't like that," Ryan shook his head. "You let yourself pretend you were someone else for a week. You got swept up in the past, and you didn't think about how it would affect your present." Emily felt her world collapse. "I didn't want to lose you." "Then you should have respected me," he said quietly. "All I ever asked for was honesty." They sat in silence for a long time. Ryan stood up, slowly. "I can't do this, Emily. I don't think I can be with someone who's still sorting out their past." Her voice was barely a whisper. "So, that's it?" He looked at her one last time. "Yeah, I think it is." And then he left. Emily didn't cry right away. She just sat there, staring at the door as if willing him to come back. But deep down, she knew he wouldn't. And maybe he shouldn't. It was nearly 2 weeks after the breakup when Emily finally picked up a call from Jake. She hesitated before answering, unsure of what she even wanted to say. But curiosity, maybe even guilt, won over. "Hey," she said, her voice quiet and raw. "Hey," Jake replied, softer than usual. "I've been checking in. Just wanted to see if you're okay." She sat on her couch, curling her knees to her chest. "I'm getting there. It's been rough." A long pause followed. Then Jake spoke again, his tone cautious but sincere. "I didn't mean to stir up trouble, Em. That night on the beach. I wasn't trying to mess with your relationship." She closed her eyes. "I know. But still, it did." Jake took a breath. "I need to be honest about something. That dare, asking you to swim with me, it wasn't random. I still think about you. And I guess, part of me hoped maybe you felt something too." The words hung in the air like smoke. Emily felt her heart sink, not because of Jake's confession, but because it confirmed what she had been trying to deny. "Jake," she said gently, "I think I always knew that. And maybe a small part of me wasn't ready to admit it. But that part, it's from a different version of me. One that doesn't exist anymore." "You're not angry?" he asked. "No," she replied honestly. "But I can't keep entertaining unfinished stories. I thought I could manage both lives, the past and the present, but I ended up losing both." Another pause. Then Jake whispered, "I'm sorry." She nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "I am too." After the call, Emily sat in silence. For the first time, she let herself face the truth she had buried under nostalgia and good intentions. The past wasn't just behind her, it had been weighing her down. She hadn't been fair to Ryan. She had lied by omission, but worse, she had lied to herself. That realization hurt more than Jake's confession or even the breakup. Because it wasn't about love triangles or jealousy, it was about her emotional immaturity. She hadn't protected her relationship. She had gambled with someone else's trust, thinking nothing would really come of it. And now she was alone. Later that night, she opened her laptop and began typing. Not to Jake, and not to Ryan, but to herself. A long letter she titled "What I Didn't Say." In it, she wrote everything: her confusion, her guilt, her fear of being the bad guy. She admitted she had enjoyed the comfort of the past, even when she knew it was risky. She wrote it all and cried as she typed. But she didn't hit send. She saved it. Because this time, the letter wasn't for someone else's forgiveness. It was for her own healing. Emily didn't try to get Ryan back. She wanted to every day, in the quiet hours of the night, when her heart replayed what they had and what they lost. But something inside her had shifted. For the first time, she wasn't reaching for a relationship to save her. She was trying to save herself. She began writing letters. Not just to Ryan, but to everyone who had shaped her, Jake, her friends, even her younger self. Each letter started with pain, but ended with truth. It became her way of releasing everything she'd buried. Every version of herself she'd been, the carefree college girl, the emotional partner, the guilty friend, the woman still learning how to be whole on her own. None of these letters were sent. They were tucked away in a folder on her laptop, titled simply, Unsent. She began to reclaim her life in small, deliberate steps. She started therapy, something she'd put off for years. She opened up to Lisa over coffee, finally admitting how lost she had felt during the trip and how scared she was of confronting the truth. To her surprise, Lisa didn't judge her. Honestly, Lisa said, most people mess up. But owning it the way you are? That's rare, Em. She picked up old hobbies she had forgotten, painting, hiking alone, reading books without checking her phone. She even started volunteering at an animal shelter nearby on weekends. The days still hurt, but the pain wasn't directionless anymore, it was purposeful. Like soreness after a workout, it meant something was being rebuilt. And in those quiet moments, sitting by herself on a park bench, writing in her journal, or walking home at sunset, she started to feel something unfamiliar. Peace. Not happiness, not yet. But peace. The kind that comes when you've stopped running from yourself. One afternoon, while sorting through her inbox, she found an old email draft she had written the night Ryan left. It had been meant for him, a desperate attempt at explaining everything, justifying her choices, pleading for a second chance. She read it again. Then she deleted it. Not out of anger. Not out of pain. But because she finally understood that some apologies aren't meant to fix what's broken, they're meant to teach you what never to break again. By the end of that week, Emily bought a new notebook. On the first page, she wrote, Lesson 1. The truth doesn't protect you from pain. But hiding it guarantees you'll hurt someone else too. And underneath it, if love isn't built on honesty, it's not love. It's comfort dressed up as connection. Months passed. The sharp edges of Emily's heartbreak had softened. The pain never vanished, but it no longer consumed her. It lived quietly inside her, like a scar that no longer ached, only reminded. Life moved forward, slowly but surely. The seasons changed. The world didn't stop, even when she once felt like it had. One crisp afternoon in early fall, Emily wandered into a small independent bookstore on a whim. She had been walking aimlessly, coffee in hand, scarf wrapped tight against the wind, when something pulled her in. She browsed the shelves with no real plan until she turned a corner and saw him. Ryan. He was flipping through a travel book, unaware of her presence at first. He looked the same, but different, lighter maybe. At peace. Like she hoped she appeared to him too. Their eyes met. There was no panic. No need to run or hide. Just a strange calm. Hey, Emily said softly. Ryan smiled. Hey. A short, quiet silence passed. You look good, he said. Have you been? She smiled faintly. Better. Figuring things out. You. Same. One day at a time. They chatted for a few minutes. Small things. Work, mutual friends, travel plans. Nothing deep. Nothing heavy. But it was enough. It was closure. Before they parted ways, he looked at her with a kind, sad smile. I meant it, you know. Back then. I did love you. She nodded, heart steady. I know. And I'm sorry for how I handled everything. Truly. I'm glad you're okay, he said, and walked away. She didn't cry. She didn't fall apart. She just stood there for a moment, then picked up a novel from the shelf and bought it. Something about starting a new story felt right. That night, Emily wrote in her journal, I ran into Ryan today. For the first time, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole. Not because he forgave me, but because I forgave myself. She closed the notebook and made herself tea. There was no big dramatic ending. No rekindled romance. No perfect new beginning. Just this, a woman who had made mistakes, learned from them, and chosen to grow. The girl who had gone on vacation thinking she could juggle the past and present was gone. In her place stood someone braver, someone who had faced the truth, accepted the loss, and found freedom in owning her story. Because sometimes, the real love story isn't about who you end up with. It's about who you become after everything falls apart. S1.